Today on an all-new Dr. Phil.
When I get angry, I break stuff, cuss, I scream.
A destructive daughter.
You tore up all my books? You just poured milk on our bed?
She's kicked, punched, gave you a black eye, spit on you. She poured dish soap on the floor.
Oh, God, go get your dad.
And a mother.
She threw water at me, she wouldn't let me sleep, and she started hitting me.
With a sordid past.
My mom wasn't there when she needed to be.
Where was she?
Out with her drug addict friends in jail.
Why were you in prison?
It was for fraud. Mom, I'll do whatever I can not to be like you. You might be my mom, but you're not my mom.
Let's do it.
Have a good show, everybody. Here we go.
This is a safe place to talk about hard things.
Stand by. We'll count you down.
Today's going to be a changing day in your life.
5, 4.
I am not giving up on you. Well, my guest Hallie arrived here today in a leg brace because she claims her 14-year-old daughter Tatum is so out of control that after destroying the kitchen, she then purposely poured dish soap all over the floor so Hallie would slip and fall. Take a look.
Why? Why are you doing this?
Because
This is ridiculous.
it's not.
Don't you do it. No! No! God!
Well, Hallie claims 14-year-old Tatum has also assaulted her, punched her, given her a black eye, spit on her, and now she will need knee surgery for that recent kitchen accident you just saw. Now, Hallie says Tatum has been sent to more residential treatment in psychiatric hospitals than she can count and is currently being held in a detention facility due to her violent behavior. Take a look.
My daughter is angry,
I hate you so much.
destructive, and disrespectful.
I hope you die.
Tatum's issues started 3 years ago. Her baby brother passed away from SIDS, and that started my downhill spiral. I was out on the streets doing drugs, and I ended up in prison. Tatum went to go live with my mom and my dad. Even though Tatum was already out of control, things got worse. Tatum went to 5 different residential programs and began meeting men off of dating websites. I knew it wasn't going to be easy when I came home, but I never imagined it was going to be this bad. Tatum ran the house. She forced us to put double locks on the doors, deadbolts, an alarm. She made us prisoners in our own home. After 10 months, I decided to discipline by taking things from her, and that definitely did not work. She threw a huge fit and tore up the house.
You tore up all my books? You just poured milk on our bed? Are you kidding me?
She threw cereal all over the floor that I slipped in and fell, causing me to tear my ACL.
Don't you do it. No! No! God!
God, just go get your dad. Go get your dad.
I'm walking around with a leg brace. Next month, I am going to have surgery on my knee. All I really want is my family back. And Tatum wants no part of that and wants no part of me in her life.
Well, Tatum's grandmother, Sherry, shares custody, but will no longer let the 14-year-old stay in her home. She says Tatum is just too dangerous to be around.
Tatum is angry, aggressive, and growing up way too fast. Tatum's been living with us on and off since she was 2 years old. She was a sweet girl and she was a happy girl, but she became quiet and angry and spent more time alone. Once Hallie went to jail, Tatum became very belligerent, very destructive. She would throw things, put holes in the walls. We were foster parents for 26 years. At the time when Tatum started acting out, we still had 2 children we were fostering. The violence was very scary for the children. My older children would rush the small ones into the master bedroom. When Hallie came out of prison, Hallie and Tatum really hit it off. It was a wonderful reunion. But as time went on, it got difficult.
Okay. You have a daughter out of control.
Yes, definitely.
Okay.
Extremely.
You agree she's out of control?
Yes.
According to the two of you, she's had over 17 police reports.
Yes, sir.
Had to call the police 17 times.
Yes, sir.
Okay. She uses profanity, steals cell phones. She's overdosed on pills.
Yes.
Right?
Quite a few times.
More than once. Smokes
Yes.
marijuana. Now, she's poured milk on your husband's bed.
Yeah, brand new bed.
She just went in, just poured milk all over
Poured milk all over it.
Okay. She destroys your property, right?
Yes, sir.
Like she's ripped your books up,
Yes, sir.
smashed a coffee maker.
Yes.
She cut a family member's hand with a box cutter,
Yes.
correct? Okay. She swung a bat at you.
Put holes in the wall.
Yeah, she's kicked and punched, put holes in the wall, gave you a black eye, spit on you.
Spit on me several times.
Okay. Poured dish soap on the kitchen floor.
Yes, sir.
You slipped in it,
Yes.
hurt your knee, caused you to tear your ACL. Tried to break the TV, lamp, sunglasses, just destructive.
Very.
Kicked the ferret's cage, threw glass of milk at you.
Yes.
Beat up a classmate, bodily injury we're talking about
Yes,
here.
sir.
Expelled from school, sneaks out of the house, jumped out a second-story window
Yes.
and injured herself.
Yes, she sprained her ankle.
Okay, so I mean, this isn't like had a bad day.
Oh,
This is a pattern of behavior, right?
Very-
This is a
yeah.
pattern
very
of
much
behavior.
so.
So what's going on here?
She is a very angry child. And I know a lot of things started when her baby brother died. But a lot of things started a long time ago, too. Hallie Jo was diagnosed as bipolar at a very early age.
I was 23 when I was diagnosed as bipolar.
After Tatum was
right
born.
after Tatum was born. And therefore, I just was not there in the very beginning.
And so that's when we took part custodialship.
When you talk to us about her having problems, I notice what people say and also what they don't say.
Right.
So when we ask you lots of questions and we write things down, and when I read what's on the page, and then I
Right.
also read what's not on the page. I
Right.
read between the lines too.
Yeah.
And what I read didn't have hardly any acknowledgement by you of any contribution whatsoever to your daughter's pathology.
Oh, I definitely had a part of that. But the part of that was after Malik, my son, passed away.
You lost your son to SIDS, correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
That was the diagnosis.
Now, that was a diagnosis by who? I'm
By
very
the
sorry for your
doctors.
loss, by the way.
That was a
All of you, I'm very
that
sorry for
truly
your
was a
loss.
diagnosis that they could give us, but there were some things that they couldn't determine that there might have been some genetic things, but...
Okay, because
they couldn't
this is your
confirm.
husband, Sean.
Yeah.
Sean, hello, how you doing? You mentioned kidney stones.
Yes.
Yes.
That's not SIDS.
That's just a diagnosis that the doctor presented to us at the time.
Was it SIDS or was it kidney stones?
To me, it was kidney stones,
But they wouldn't say
but
that's
they
why he
wouldn't say
died.
kidney stones.
They wouldn't say that's why he died. that
They
he had
labeled it
kidney-
SIDS with underlying medical issues. He had a fatty liver.
And how old was he?
He was 8 months old. He had a fatty liver. His right kidney was full of stones, and he was trying to pass one that was too big in his left kidney.
Well, 90% of children that pass from SIDS pass before 6 months of
That's
age.
right.
Correct.
And again, I'm sorry for your loss.
Thank you.
Well, all of you. That's a terrible thing to go through. And it was terrible for her to go through, correct?
Yes, very
All
much
right.
so.
The question is, how did the adults handle this? What did you guys do about this? Sherry says, Hallie may be trying hard to be a good mother now, but Hallie is the reason her granddaughter is so troubled. We'll be right back.
My relationship with Hallie is not great. Hallie is very critical over the way we raised Tatum while she was gone. It's very hurtful.
And later,
You might be my mom, but you're not my mom, because I will never grow up to be like you. And I'll do whatever I can not to be like you. You're a shame. I love you, but you're a shame.
After my son passed away, I thought Tatum handled that better than the rest of us, but I guess I was wrong. Tatum was put into therapy. Immediately, I tried to protect her from seeing me trying to resuscitate her brother. She told me one day, "Mommy, I saw you try to save Malik, and you just couldn't. He was already gone. He was already in heaven." She is stuck somewhere between anger and denial.
well, Hallie says her 14-year-old daughter Tatum is so violent she pulls knives and physically fights family members. Now, just 2 months ago, she was sent to a juvenile detention facility after assaulting her mother and violating probation. Take a look.
Tatum has gone to jail at least 5 times. One time, Tatum was trying to break doors at my parents' house, and my 18-year-old sister was trying to stop her. So Tatum got a box cutter and sliced my sister's hand. Tatum was charged with aggravated assault with a deadly weapon.
Another time, Tatum threw a glass of milk at Hallie and punched her and gave her a black eye. She was charged with assault and she was in jail for 10 days.
One time I tried to spank Tatum. She kicked, punched, and spit on me and was arrested again for assault causing bodily injury.
Another time, Tatum punched her in the eye and the jaw. The police were called, and this time she was in jail for a month.
In school, Tatum punched the girl, made her bleed, pulled chunks of her hair out. Every time that she is released from juvenile, she's good for about 2 weeks. And right after that, she becomes her sneaky, disrespectful self.
Tatum has spent 2 months in juvenile lockup, and she's there indefinitely.
Tatum's original charge was a felony assault with family violence. They're afraid to let her be a part of society because they're afraid somebody is going to get hurt.
Now, Grandmother Sherry says a big part of the problems that we were just talking about, Tatum's behavior, is Hallie, who has not exactly been Mother of the Year. Now, Sherry claims Hallie has been in and out of Tatum's life since she was 2 years old. Now, that's different than Hallie was just describing, because she was saying everything was pretty much peachy until 6 years of age. Take a look.
When Tatum was younger, her mother was using drugs. Things went downhill very, very quickly. When Hallie was younger, she was self-destructive. She was very determined to do everything her way, and she was very selfish. Hallie would disappear for days at a time, and Tatum would stay with us. Hallie is very critical over the way we raised Tatum while she was gone. It's very hurtful. My relationship with Hallie is not great. I think she wants everything now, and she has a hard time being patient with Tatum and myself. Hallie wanted to immediately come in and play the mother-parent role, and Tatum did not like that. I don't think Hallie can just come back and just pick up where she left off.
Okay, what do you say to that?
Actually, that was completely opposite of what I have said from the beginning of me being released from prison. I have said I knew.
By the way, why were you in prison?
It was for fraud. It was doing what I needed to do to support my drug habit.
And what was the fraud? What were you doing?
It was credit card fraud.
And you got caught for that and you went to jail, but this was secondary to your drug habit.
Yes.
And
yes.
what drugs were you doing?
I was doing methamphetamines.
Okay. Were you doing any drugs while you were pregnant?
No.
It was after Tatum was born.
Yes.
But before Malik was born.
Yes, it was that short time when Tatum was younger. And then after Malik passed away, that's when it all started again.
When all that was going on, that's when we took custody.
All this early drug activity was before you came on board.
Yes.
Okay. Because you don't hold much with that.
No.
Now, according to you, she says that you were a drug addict, you stole money, you abandoned Tatum.
Yes.
You neglected her, and you claim that she was sexually assaulted. You've been to prison for fraud, which we just talked about, and that you are verbally aggressive towards Tatum.
Yes.
You actually kidnapped her from school.
You knew that we were moving
And
to
I told
Galveston.
you could not take her out of school.
I don't remember her saying, no, this, you can't do this.
What did you say when she didn't come home that day?
I went to go pick her up from school, and she was not there. That's how I found out. Lots of times she would spend the weekend. I went to try to find out what happened, and then they had moved her, and Tatum seemed to be very happy there. So I thought, well, I'll give it a little time. But then I started getting phone calls I got a phone call from a neighbor that her mama's not home. Tatum knew the phone number, and I went over there, and Tatum was sitting on the front porch. In not a very good part of Galveston did they live, out there by herself, scared.
True?
True. I started using again.
And someone violated this child, some adult male.
I was not aware. I would not have put her in that position knowingly.
Yeah. No doubt. I don't. I'm going to quarrel with a lot of what you say, but I don't quarrel with that. Mm-hmm. Now, she has beaten up classmates, assaulted her mother multiple times, and been expelled from school. So coming up, Tatum is here. The judge gave her permission to leave the detention facility, specifically to come here to talk to me. We're going to find out what she has to say after the break.
I don't like when my mom disciplines me because she hasn't been there all these years, so what makes her think she can just come in and take control again? She has no right to do that because the times that I really needed her, she hasn't been there.
And later,
you might be my mom, but you're not my mom because I will never grow up to be like you. And I'll do whatever I can not to be like you. You're a shame. I love you, but you're a shame.
A few years ago, Tatum woke me up trying to reach under my pillow to get my cell phone. And I opened my eyes, and there she was with a butcher knife in her hand. And I sat up slowly, holding the butcher knife this way, and I just grabbed her wrist, and I took the other hand and grabbed the handle of the knife. And the next day, every knife in the house got locked up in a lockbox.
Okay, now tell me about that particular situation.
I guess the door opening woke me up, and I look over, and she's on the floor like an army crawl. Uh-huh. And I said, "What are you doing?" And then she sits up, and she's got this knife, like this at me. And she's shoving her hand under my pillow.
And the butcher knife is for what purpose?
That's what I asked her. Why do you have that? And she said, "I was afraid." What were you going to do with it? Oh, I wasn't going to hurt anybody with it. It was very scary, the things that she would do.
Well, she is Tatum, and Tatum has been in a juvenile detention facility for the last 2 months for violating probation after she assaulted her mother. Here's what Tatum has to say about her behavior, and I think you'll find it very interesting.
My problem is I like to fight. Everything makes me angry. It just depends on what really sets me off. When I get angry, I break stuff, hit people, cuss, I scream, I threaten. What makes me act out is when people get an attitude with me. I get mad at my mom when she is disrespectful. I don't like when my mom disciplines me because she hasn't been there all these years, so what makes her think she can just come in and take control again when my grandparents have been there. I hate when people tell me what to do. I don't like people trying to control me. I feel like I should be able to control myself no matter how old I am. My mom needs to earn my respect again. My mother has no right to just come in and act like she can just control everything. The times that I really needed her, she hasn't been there. The one thing I'm really upset about is my mom chose drugs over her child. Just because one of her children passed away, I feel like she forgot that there was another child to take care of that needed her. My mom has apologized. It's not that I haven't accepted it, but I think it's going to take time.
Well, Tatum, how you doing?
I'm good.
You're in detention right now. You're living in a detention facility.
Yes, sir.
Should you be?
I don't think I should be, because they just portray me as something different.
How do they portray you?
As just a bad kid that always beats up on my mom, but they don't know the full story.
I want to know the full story. So let's see what we can agree about. Can we agree about the fact that you have shown some violent behavior?
Yes.
And can we agree that you do this out of anger?
Yes.
So you get angry?
Yes.
All right. So that much is true.
Yes.
What you're saying people don't understand is why you feel that way or why you do what you do.
Yes.
That's what's mischaracterized, right?
Yes.
Tell me, why do you do the things you do?
Because whenever I get angry, like, it's so easy to make me angry. And I feel like people don't understand how angry I get. And when I do these things, it's like I black out. And it's hard for me to, like, sometimes, like, it's like I know what I did, but it's like I just couldn't help it. And I just put my hands on people, and it's hard for me not to, because I feel like that's the only way I can get through to them.
My opinion is that people resort to violence when they run out of socially acceptable ways to express themselves. Is that what you're saying? They don't hear me, they're not listening?
Yes.
So I get frustrated and just want to hit them?
Yes.
I have the belief that anger is showing you an outward manifestation of hurt or fear or frustration. Okay? Now think about what I just said. What I'm saying is, what we see from you is we see anger. We see you hitting people or knocking holes in the wall or yelling. So would you agree that when you show anger, it's really because you're hurt, scared, or frustrated?
Yes. Like with my mom, sometimes we'll have good days, and like we'll be real close, but like we can get in an argument like 2 hours later because if I feel like I'm getting too close, I push myself away because I'm scared to get close to her, because I don't trust that she's just gonna hurt me and ruin everything again like she did.
I'm so proud of you. You have no idea. I'm really so proud of you.
She threw water at me. She wouldn't let me sleep. And she started hitting me.
What do you say when you realize your own mother chooses to not be with you?
My mom and I disagree on disciplining Tatum. She thinks that walking on eggshells is the proper way to do it.
Hallie is verbally aggressive. She doesn't back off from Tatum. I'm different from my daughter. I like to get away from it and de-escalate the situation.
My mom likes to pretend that things are not as bad as they are with Tatum. I think my mom lives with rose-colored glasses on and lives in denial of a lot of things.
You say, I get scared, okay, things are going along, okay, and I get scared that she's going to hurt me like she's done before. Okay? So it's not about anger, it's about you're scared that she's going to hurt you like she's done before.
Yes.
I'm scared I'm going to get hurt here. So before that happens, I'm going to hurt them. Do you think you do that?
Yes, sir, I think I do. But even when she came back, she still hurt me. Like, there was still a moment that she hurt me really bad. And it was for no reason. It was for no reason. I felt like
I'm not saying it works. I'm just saying that's what people do. How did she hurt you?
Because I had left the house one night and she wouldn't let me sleep because I was very tired, and she threw water at me. She wouldn't let me sleep. And so I took water and I threw it back on her. And she started chasing me, and I ran upstairs and she started hitting me. And I don't understand that. And my nanny called the police, but no one cared when she hit me. Just because you didn't see it doesn't mean you shouldn't care.
And that frustrated you?
Yes, it hurt me too.
When was the last time you were ever really still and quiet and peaceful inside?
At 10 years old.
Why at 10?
Because that's just, like at 11, everything had started.
What's everything?
My mom wasn't there when she needed to be.
Where was she?
Out with her drug addict friends in jail.
She's got you on the one hand and drugs in the street on the other hand. And what did she choose?
She chose drugs.
Okay. And what do you say to yourself about yourself when you lose? I mean, there's a contest here. You're in the running. She could pick you or she could pick something else, and you lose. What do you say to yourself when you realize your own mother chooses to not be with you?
I understand she went off the deep end after my baby brother passed, but my dad, that's his son too, my stepdad, he had his, you know, he was upset, of course, because that's his son, but he was still there. He still did what he needed to do. So she can't make excuses about, oh, because he passed, because my stepdad, what did he do? He got back up with his life. He didn't go to prison. He didn't start doing drugs. But look, there she goes.
But I do know how kids think, and what do you say to yourself? I mean, is there a point at which you say, you know, if I was a better daughter, maybe she would love me more. If I was more interesting, she would stay with me. If I was, I mean, how do you explain to yourself that you're not good enough for her to want to be there?
I didn't think I wasn't good enough. I would just tell myself I should have never gotten close.
So I'm not going to let anybody get close again. So I'm going to be tough.
Yes.
We're going to find out why Hallie's husband says seeing Tatum being destructive has rekindled the hatred that he had for Hallie. We'll be right back.
Everything Tatum has done so far is dangerous. Everything. Now that I see the way Tatum is acting out, it's bringing up some of the old feelings I had with Hallie. I can't trust Tatum the way I couldn't trust my wife.
I have fostered over 100 children for 26 years, and I have never had CPS open a file on me.
Tatum and I were staying at my parents' house. CPS came in and said that Tatum was a danger to the younger children in the home. We were forced to move out.
I thought it was a good idea that Hallie and Tatum left and moved in Vashon. I didn't want our house under the CPS spotlight any longer.
Well, Hallie says Tatum is ruining her life. Tatum recently moved in with her mom and stepfather after her grandmother, Sherry, felt she was a danger to the children in her house. Now, Hallie's husband has been in Tatum's life since she was 2 years old. And Sean remembers a very sweet little girl. Take a look.
I met Tatum when she was 2 years old. We did everything together. I was like her dad, and she was like my little girl. I look at her now, and it's totally different. She's not that sweet little girl anymore. She hurt herself and her mom and her grandmother. Everything Tatum has done so far is dangerous. Everything. Now that I see the way Tatum is acting out, it's bringing up some of the old feelings I had with Hallie. When Hallie lost her child, she got back on drugs, to numb the pain. I can't trust Tatum the way I couldn't trust my wife. Tatum wanted a family. She wanted Hallie home, but it didn't last because Tatum hates her mom for going to jail. She had the family that she wanted. She had the mom she wanted. I don't know what she wants now.
Sean, there's a very different, you're seeing a very different side of Tatum, and what I've said to her is I think this is all coming out of pain and self-preservation. What do you think?
And hearing Tatum talk today has really opened my eyes. I never heard Tatum talk like this before. And it's just...
But it makes sense to you that this is coming from pain and self-protection on her part, right?
I understand that. Now I do, yeah.
What do you think?
I completely understand. She has every reason to feel that way. I handled things completely wrong. And I know that at that point in time, I didn't know what else to do. And I did. At that moment, I completely forgot I had another child. And I did not do it intentionally. I cannot go back and change that. All I can do is go forward from here.
You might be my mom, but you're not my mom. Nani is. Nani's my mom.
You're right. I agree with that. I agree with that.
Mama, I know what I did wrong, and I'm still a child, and I can change what I did because I will never grow up to be like you ever. I don't want to be like you, and I'll do whatever I can not to be like you because, honestly, I'm not trying to be rude. You're a shame. I love you, but you're a shame. And I will never, ever be like you.
I wouldn't want you to be like me. I would hope you would learn. I want you to learn from my mistakes. You're better than that.
We're going to find out why the court says it's in the best interest of Tatum to be placed outside her mother's home. And I'm going to talk to you about what I think has impacted this child when we come back. Sherry claims her daughter, Hallie, was always in and out of her granddaughter's life. Now, Sherry says that she had to step in, get joint custody, and protect her granddaughter from Hallie's chaotic, drug-abusing lifestyle. In Texas, there's an old saying, you're not old so you don't know it, but there's an old saying in Texas that says sometimes you got to rise above your raisin. You were raised this way, you got to rise above your raisin. And we always want to be better than our parents. We want to have it better than our parents. We want to do better than our parents. And, you know, I made a list, and, you know, I look at the things that trauma, according to your mom and grandmother, at 2 years old, Hallie's on drugs, and so grandma has joint custody here. From 2 to 13, you know, Mom, you're in and out of her life. At 7 years old, a baby brother passes from SIDS. This is a terrible loss and event. Then, at 9 years old, according to Grandma, there's this kidnap attempt by Mom in the driveway, kidnapped from school from 2 months. Hallie claims Tatum is sexually assaulted, 12 years old. Hallie in prison. And then there's fight, cuts family member's hand, 12 years to 14. Overdoses, 14-year-old, removed from the childhood home. I mean, you go through these things, and it's like, I don't ask myself why you're reaching, scrambling around, trying to figure out a way to exist and protect yourself. I ask myself, why not? Because you say, I don't want to let anybody get close, because when people get close, I wind up getting hurt. Even with your little brother. You love your little brother. We have pictures of you holding your little brother and laughing, and you've got this biggest smile on your face, and you're cuddling him, and it's obvious that he's so comfortable with you, and you're there. I mean, look at this. And then he left you, didn't he? And that's hard for a child to wrap their head around. And then you say, well, at least I've got my mom. Well, actually, I don't. She's gone. She chose something else. So I'm just left here with these feelings, and I don't know what to do about it. So here's what let's do. Let's lock her up. Let's lock her up. That's therapeutic. Let's lock her up. What the hell? You know, the system has failed you. Your family has failed you, and I'm sorry. I'm sorry. You hear me?
Yes, sir.
Can this generational legacy be broken? And if so, how? I mean, at some point, you got to stop complaining and start asking. You got to stop theorizing and start talking about behaviors, things that can change what's happening. We'll be right back. Let me tell you the catch-22 we're in here. You're showing really what we call aberrant behavior, or they call acting out. You're doing these things that keep you from being able to go to school, keep you from being able to get along with people. You bow up in the face of authority and all of this, and so that makes you inconvenient for society. Makes you inconvenient. So we take you and put you over here and lock you up. And while you're locked up, very little, if anything, happens to resolve why you were doing what you were doing out here to begin with. Because like you say, nobody really pays any attention or listens to what's going on. So you sit there and get more and more frustrated, and then you go back out to the same situation you were in before, and the only difference is you're getting bigger, stronger, and older, so your behaviors start having a greater impact until you finally get treated as an adult, and then you go to big girl jail. I don't want to see that happen to you, and I don't think you want to be the way you are. You don't enjoy being upset all the time, do you?
No, sir.
If you had a better way of expressing yourself, you would use it, wouldn't you?
Yes, sir.
And if you had a way to vent these feelings and to get these feelings out so you weren't wrapped so tight all the time, wouldn't you like to do that?
Yes, sir.
I want to offer you a way to do that. And in order for that to happen, I've got to find a way to penetrate the system here, the court system, the juvenile system, and if you have to be there for a period of time, I want to find a way to help you while you're there. And I've got the chairman of the Dr. Phil Advisory Board is Dr. Frank Lawless, who's head of the PNP Center, which is the Psychoneuroplasticity Center, which has to do with how the brain functions. And I have asked him if we can get permission from there. He has agreed that he will fly down to where you are and come to you in the juvenile detention center and work with you right there and start teaching you some of the things you need to calm your brain and give you some skills to start taking control of this anger and getting you set up. And I'm interested in not punishing your behavior, but healing your pain. I'm going to stand up and be your advocate. Okay? Fair enough? Okay? All right. All right. Now, things are going to have to happen with you as well. I'm going to arrange the same kind of help for you that I'm arranging for her. And this is going to happen in parallel, not together right now, because there's too much that needs to be done separately.
Right.
But we're going to start that right away. but we're going to stop this generational legacy here. All right. I want to thank all of my guests today. A special thanks to Frank Lawless and the PNP Center for offering to help Tatum. He has said he will get on a plane, he will fly there, he will take whatever time necessary and take team members if necessary to work with her and get this thing started. We're going to give this girl a running start. We'll see you next time.
Memories can kill ya, but I didn't hear ya. I thought that I could fly, but woke up on the asphalt. I swear there was the last time. I've always been naive, call it. You should